We're now live. It looks like we are live across the planet on multiple platforms. At this point, let me double check really quickly that we are in fact, and oops, I've got the wrong slide up. We should be on the front slide. There we go. And yes, we are live on multiple platforms now. So, hello everyone. I am Chris Mattia, W6AH. I have my esteemed colleagues with me here. David, KK6DA, David, W0DHG, and Dan, NR6V. And today, what we are going to be talking about is field station deployment. Last week, we talked about coming up with your deployment kits and what would you want to put in one of those deployment kits. This week, we are actually going to deploy, and we're going to set up a field station live for everyone to see us walk through this. And I say we because we are all going to participate in this. We have Dan, NR6V, is going to be our net control operator. David iPhone, who is W0DHG, he is going to be deploying, and then David, KK6DA, is going to be converting his local shack rack that we saw last week. He's going to be setting that up for taking it out into the field. So we'll see how this stuff works. So let me click over to the next slide here. So as normal, if you have joined us previously, we'd like everyone to go ahead and send us a Winlink check-in. And for the Winlink check-in, send it to all four of us. Let me paste in the chat so that folks there, it's a little bit easier for you. But if you can send it to KK6DA, W0DHG, NR6V, and W6AH, just use the standard Winlink check-in form. And what we would like you to do is let us know, have you ever deployed for an EmComm deployment? This could be an exercise. This could be a real actual deployment. If you have done that, just let us know down in the notes whether you have. And if you have, and you have some pictures, go ahead and post those up to the social media, whichever platform that you like. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and just tag with that hashtag WaveTalkers. And we should be able to see that. Let me switch over to my PC for those of you who want a little refresher very briefly on what the form looks like. So if I grab the correct mouse here and change over my computer, let me see, where are we there? So now I can see it. So all you got to do is just go up, click the new message button here inside of your Winlink, go up to the select templates, and under the standard templates, you want to make sure you're running the latest version. The latest version I have is 1.0.177. There may be some newer ones out there, some other ones out there, but this one certainly does work. You click on standard templates, you come down here to the general forms section, and you go down to Winlink check-in. You just go ahead and double click that up and you fill out this form. Make sure you put your latitude and longitude in there. If you need to, you can use the what three words. There's a little view what three words in another tab right here so that you can get your proper lat lon. Fill this out. The question, you want to just fill in the answer right down here and then submit that to us and send the message in. If you can do that now at the beginning of this session, so that by the end of the session, we're going to use the mapping feature and we're going to display a map to see where everybody is across the country. So that is, if you can go ahead and do that while you're getting started here, let me cut back over to here. And the pre-roll here is pretty straightforward this week. We are talking about our deployments. And last week, if you watched last week's episode, these are some of the Winlink deployment kits that we talked about that you may want to consider. We spent most of our time focusing on the Radio Go kit, but this is how you want to like organize your material, your organize your equipment for deploying. And it works pretty well. And today we're going to go ahead and do that. So let's say there's an earthquake that just happened. Everybody's shaking all over the place, right? Okay, so with that earthquake, our net control operator would go ahead and hop on net control and then maybe put out a call for stations that are able to deploy.
This is Ahrendts net control calling W0DHG.
W0DHG, Ahrendts net control, go ahead.
Are you available to deploy?
Can do.
Roger, would you deploy to the predetermined location?
I will do. I'll check in when I am on site.
And our 16 net control.
He's going to his driveway. It's good. That's good.
You're not supposed to tell him.
No, it gets the job done. I just have to laugh.
Ignore
Very good.
The man behind the curtain.
Very good. Are you there yet?
Let me see. Almost. Hold on. I got to get over to the right Zoom. Let me get over to the right. Uh-oh. Wait a minute.
Oh, we got another camera on it. Wow.
Yeah, we've got other cams. So I just got to be able to find the rest of my Zoom windows here.
Let's see. We could have an aftershock.
I mean, I did this and nobody saw it.
Didn't see your four-wheel drift into the parking.
I did not. Yes, you did not see my 4-wheel drift. Yeah. All right.
We might be having a little fun with this one today. Zoom meeting. Oh, there we go. Excellent. Now we've got both of the views up.
Don't crash.
All right.
Net control, W0DHG.
Net control.
I'm on site. I'm going to do a quick Winlink check-in from the vehicle, and then I'll set up the longer-term deployment station. Standby.
Net control.
So this is going to be pretty typical when you go ahead and deploy. You'll probably want to have some way with your mobile station in your vehicle that you're able to do your check-in, do your initial communication. David's truck is set up so that he can very quickly plug into his Signal Link, put his laptop up on the dashboard, and then bring up his Winlink check-in. So I'm going to go ahead and change over to this view. So I've got my Winlink set up here, and he's going to do an overall Winlink check-in at this point. And while you're doing that, I'm going to be using just Telnet here. So I'll open up my session and start it. We'll see. I'm sure there's going to be some stations checking it. Look at all those check-ins. Hello, everybody.
Isn't that great?
And those check-ins, it's really awesome to be able to see. So I'll download those. So here they come. Looks like there's even more. Great. Move this over out of the way so I can just still grab that. Here comes those check-ins. Wow, look at this. Excellent. We've got them just zooming in here.
Chris, by the way, has the preference in Winlink checked so that he can review pending messages before actually downloading them. Now, why would you want to do that in a real situation? Well, if you're taking in 200 messages at a time and 50 of them are lunch orders and the rest of them are sort of priority orders, you don't necessarily need to download all of them at the same time. That's why.
Especially if you're going over HF, which is notably slower.
Yeah. Not sure why it keeps asking me over and over to keep downloading these, but there we are.
Because it only does, I
a
think,
couple
10 at a time, and you've got more than that.
Yeah. We got a note in the chat. There seems to be an echo. Is that the echo that you were hearing during the radio communications?
It may be me.
Okay. All right. So how's the send going?
I just finished my check-in. I'm submitting the form.
Okay.
I'm going to send the Winlink traffic. Posting the outbox. Opening up my bar session.
And then once you send that, if you could just show us kind of where your signal link is and those sorts of things.
Yep. And I'm starting my traffic.
Excellent. Excellent. Just a reminder for those of you who are in the Zoom, make sure you hang around afterwards for the after party where we'll invite everybody to unmute your mics and we'll do a Q&A session. Then if you have any questions, go ahead and enter them into the chat. We'll do our best to answer those as we go along.
Yeah, I didn't plan this well, Chris, because you had everybody send me a message too, and I'm checking in over RF.
Oh yeah, right.
There's like 100.
So while that's going,
you want to let him do that? I could do my
Yeah,
thing.
you know what? And I'll start getting my deployment out.
okay.
This is something we have to remember, and before you do something like this, we should.
Before you invite everybody.
I did it, but that's right. There are lots of check-ins. Thank you so much. This is going to make a really interesting map at the end. As you may know, the Winlink developers are hard at work. We get a chance at Aries LAX Northeast to see that action as it happens. And I think over the last week, there have been at least 2 updates and at least that many forms that have been updated. And each time you get one of those updates, it means they have added some sort of functionality, which is really, really great. So, Chris, shall I do my thing here?
Sure, go ahead, David. So while you're going through doing that, although he's moving his camera now, so David, can you just? Oh, never mind. He's moving that out. So yeah, go ahead and start doing yours. We'll unpin Dan and we'll unpin David for now, while you're walking through that, and that will help us to see what all is going on.
Okay, this should not take more than a couple of minutes, maybe 3. So you've seen the rack system that I had before. What is really, I think, positive about this is that I use these radios almost every day for one function or another. So when I am deploying on an exercise and I want to take this Yaesu out with its signal link and with its mesh ready HAP, I just pull it out like this. Let me get the case ready. This is, by the way, not my work. It's a company called EmComm in Torrance, and they do a fine job. So I've disconnected the cables in the back, I hope. Oh, I forgot one. So sorry.
So as you can see in the alternate shots there, W0DHG is setting up an easy up. He's setting up a shelter right away to be able to create some shade. Then he's working on just starting to unpack some of the other equipment that he has all loaded in his vehicle. That looks like some batteries that are coming out. Ah, and there we go. There's a close-up view. Let's look at...
Yeah, so there's a lot of space in here. I would typically put a battery, a bioenno battery, right here, and it would be entirely self-contained. So that's what we got. There's actually a lot of space in there. It's...
Go through the equipment that's inside now that we're seeing it all inside.
Yeah, here's the FTM 400. Its display is in the front, of course. Here's the signal link that's connected to the radio. This is a device that would allow you to hook the system into a mesh network. That is its name, and that's its IP address in space. Speaker, mic, battery would go in here. I do have to connect the battery and take the AC power supply out of the chain, but that's something I just remembered to do. On off for the HAP. So pretty straightforward. So this all should nicely fit in the box. 4 screws go in here. And you're ready to go. Now, that's system number 1. And even though that's really nice and modular, I will tell you, I still am a big fan of the much smaller, excuse my steady cam, which is not so steady. I still believe this is just a piece of miracle technology compared to some others. This is a camera bag. The IC705 sits in here nicely. This is the IC705 HF tuner. Microphone, some other things up here. I would pair that with the Microsoft Go 2. Thank you, Nancy. I love it.
KK60A, we got a question that's come in about how much does your rack kit, how much does that weigh?
Too much. Too much. It's not going to be 20 pounds, but it's not a light thing. And I have deployed both of these together. I'll probably be doing that for an Aries LAX 5th Saturday exercise. Well, I guess we're going to be indoors for that one, but it is a lot. And, you know, you get a little wagon and you put all your toys in the wagon and go to where you want. But my point is that everything that this big system will do, this small system will do just as well. The antennas for this are smaller. Everything about this is smaller, and you stick it on your back and off you go. So those are 2 systems. Antennas would typically be for the IC705 would be a roll-up as high as I can get it using some sort of telescoping device. For the FTM 400, I would typically have a Diamond X50 on a tripod. So you've got your antennas, you've got your radios, you've got your power system, which in some cases would include, and Chris, you can talk to this more at length at some point, which would include solar cells, and you're a completely self-contained station for as long as you need it, and your computer. I have, as I told you last week, used my MacBook Pro in the past. I am probably not going to deploy with that outside of the office here, simply because it requires so much power. That's the magic of the tiny Surface Go 2 and devices like that. But again, you don't have to have all this stuff to do emergency communications. It's just the form that I wanted to put it in. I do like the fact that the rack-mounted radio is a radio that I use every day. So when I take it into the field, it hasn't been 2 months since I've used it last. Chris, that's sort of my explanation. Back to you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Let me bring myself back up onto screen, and let me pull the pin off of you, and we'll bring, there we go. Now we've got a bigger view up of W0DHG with where he's at with his deployment at this point. He's gotten his easy up out. He's using when he once he's finished, he'll take his phone camera so he can walk us around so we can see a little bit closer view of all of the things that he's got set up. But his mast is on a front hitch on his vehicle, and it's just a push-up mast that he has. He pretty quickly deployed his canopy, he set up his shelter, set up his table for an operating position. Then he worked on unloading some of his gear. He also has the Go box that is rigged in a small rack mount case that has everything kind of all self-contained in it. His battery, he's got on that little hand truck, so he's able to easily roll it around because, as you know, many batteries are pretty heavy. So he was able to roll that equipment out, and he's just going around, just starting to set everything up. We're about 21 minutes in at this point, and we're just going to continue as he gets set up. The
Chris?
Entire time that go ahead.
I have some slides that show a similar setup to what he has for his hitch-mounted antenna.
Oh, yeah, go ahead and
time to show those.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, share screen. W0DHG, go ahead.
I've got one link for now. I got a couple other things that I want to know.
Very good. NR6V. Let's see.
What did he say? We could hear that he was transmitting. What did he say?
He said that he's up and running. He hasn't got Winlink going yet, but he wanted to let us know that he was running on his main station.
Excellent. So when he first deployed, he first was able to check in on his mobile station inside of his vehicle. And then while that station was still set up, he could turn the volume up so he could still hear if he needed to pass any traffic. But then in less than 20 minutes, he had an operational station set up there on site. So that's
Chris, are you seeing my front mounted hitch?
I am seeing your front mounted hitch. Yes,
Okay.
I am.
So this is similar to what David has. This is my prior vehicle, but I have the same setup on my current Tundra pickup. And this is a commercial front mounted hitch that's available for many SUVs and trucks. And it was relatively easy to install. This is what I made up, used some Home Depot fence post for the square tubing, and I went to the local metal store and got some tubing that was the right size to accept my Harbor Freight flagpole, and they also had these neat little cleats, and I had a friend who's a welder do that for me. And that's a picture of my vehicle with the antenna deployed. I also could put it in the back, but in the back it interferes with the tailgate. I am set up to be able to do both at once, but my first choice is the front, so I don't have that interference. So that's the way that works. I have the same thing for my Tundra, which is my current vehicle. While I've got my slides up, last week I mentioned the Home Depot rigid toolbox that I liked, and while digging around for these slides, I found the picture of my kit, which I've since taken apart to redo. But this is the kit with the Home Depot rigid toolbox, and as you can see, I mentioned that this plastic piece on the top is removable, and you can see that I've recessed in speakers, a power connector, a meter, and I've got my mic clips there. And then I just built some aluminum plates to cover the batteries and to mount the radios. So to me, it's a very useful box, easy to work with. I've got switches for the fan and to turn on and off my auxiliary power. And it worked out really well. I changed it because I changed my mind on the radios. This is using a couple of Kenwood commercial radios, which are really great bulletproof radios, but they have no VFO, so you're locked into what you've programmed into them. So that's why I'm going to change that thinking a little bit. But that's all I've got. Back to you, Chris.
Oh, very good. Thank you, Dan. So it looks like David is almost operational.
Chris, I have a couple of pictures if you want me to show those.
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
All right. Very, very good. Just you tell me when David's ready. So
yeah, go ahead.
Do what we
go ahead
want.
and do your sharing, and we can.
All right. You see my picture now?
I do.
Okay. Aries LAX Northeast does a lot, and Northwest too. Do a lot of exercises. In Northeast, we do an exercise, a major exercise on every 5th Saturday. This is what we did for Shakeout. This was my Shakeout setup. And there are 2 radio systems here, the ones that you've seen, the FTM 400 right here. It's running off of this 35 amp hour battery. And then here is the Go 2 and the IC 705. So this really was the functional system. I set this up just as a backup. I did use components of that in the setup also. I was on a parking structure, top of a parking structure at Kaiser Permanente Los Angeles Medical Center, which is at Sunset and Vermont. And we were there for, my goodness, much of the day. There's the setup.
David, why do you have the little tent around your laptop?
That's a sun protection thing, and it works absolutely beautifully. I'll get you the brand name of it, but I really like that. It's especially nice when you're in bright sunlight, and we were, as you can see, that day. This was a Saturday morning. We were, just a little story here, we were met by hospital security people because there's some crazy man downtown Los Angeles behind us, because some people had complained that there was a homeless encampment being built on the top story. Someone forgot to tell someone that we were going to be there, but we had a good laugh, and there we go. This is a metal table, by the way, that I've acquired recently, as well as this one. This folds nicely into a carrying case and works out very well. Lap dome is what this is called. And it is a wonderful, wonderful sun shield. Time for a couple more, Chris?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay, very good. Let's see. Oh, we did have the solar panels up also. There's a solar controller. It was topping off the 35 amp hour AGM. And that was running everything with the exception of the Surface Go 2, which really didn't need to be charged all day. And we were set up before 8 a.m. in the morning. There are the solar panels. Before 8 a.m. in the morning, and we stayed until 4. That was a long day, but we wanted to sort of stress test these systems and our battery systems, and it was worthwhile. This is the power film right here you see on the side of the tent. It worked admirably, but it wasn't a sunny enough day for it to stay fully charged. I'm glad I had the other battery too.
With that, leave that shot up for a second, because one of the things that you can see, if you can go back to that last one real quick, David. Oh, there you go. That's fine. You can leave that one up. You can see he's got the red wagon that's in there also. Yeah. Because that's really helpful to be able to move your equipment from one location. So if you were setting up, say, outside of your location near your vehicle, like DHG is setting up right now, then being able to get all of the equipment in and out of your vehicle is pretty easy and straightforward. However, depending on the type of environment that you need to deploy in, you may need to transport your equipment some distance. And so having a plan for being able to do that, either a small collapsible cart, I have a little bit larger cart that fits in the back of my truck that I'm able to use, is a really helpful thing, because there's a lot of stuff here to be able to set up, and you have to really consider the area that you're setting up. So here, KK6DA has the freestanding tripods to be able to set up his mast system, whereas DHG is setting up using his vehicle as the anchor system in there.
These are a couple of collapsible boxes too that I acquired. I have 3 of them, and they're just really neat. They fold flat, and then you can decollapse them, and they're great carry cases. So when you want to stow them, you can put them away. Here is one antenna system, and I'll show you a picture in a second that displays that a little bit better. I think it is this one. Let's see. Sort of. On top of this is the Diamond X50, and this is a roll-up, the N9AXT, is that it?
N9TAX.
TAX.
Excellent antenna.
And there's some crazy man trying to take a selfie. So it gives you some idea of deployment. Here is the lap dome yet again. And it worked out very well. This was a simplex exercise. The furthest away, we were probably operating in easily 20 square miles in the San Gabriel Valley. I was the westernmost station, and I had no difficulty in communicating with this setup with anyone. Back to you, Chris.
Excellent. So there we are. So we're right now at about 32 minutes in. Dan, do you want to reach out to him and find out how he's doing? You're on mute, Dan.
W0DHG from Net Control. Just checking your status. Okay, I got Winlink set up, and I lost you after that. Say again.
All right. So while he's checking in on that, I see Jason, if you have your photos that you want to share of your deployment, if you have them up on screen, we can allow you to share screen, and we can see what your deployment setup looks like. Otherwise, if you post anything on social media, just go ahead and tag #WaveTalkers. And let me find you real quick, Jason.
W0DHG and R6V unreadable.
Yeah, if you have them up on your screen, I can turn on screen sharing if you'd like for you. Okay, so let me just find you in the list of people. There you are. Ask you to unmute.
W0DHG and R6V. If you copy, go to darn.
All right, Jason, can you unmute?
Sure. How do you copy?
I do copy you pretty well.
Hey, how's it going? You guys are doing a great program.
Thanks. Thank you. Do you have some slides up on screen that you would like to be able to share?
Just a couple. I was deployed at Arcadia Methodist, and they're up on the screen now. They're not really big, but I can expand it.
Okay, go ahead and do share screen.
Okay, where is that button? By the way?
It's down at the bottom. It's a green button down at the bottom, and just make
I
sure.
see it. I see it. Thank you.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
So I'm all set up with Winlink, 2 meter, 70 centimeters. I have 220 up as well. I was getting ready to set up 20 meters. I got solar panels going, and I'm ready for a tour if you guys want to go to that.
Oh, okay.
I can wait.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Just
Very
hang tight,
good.
Jason.
Chris is going to take control here.
All right. So, David, are you ready with your? He can. Let's get him to unmute.
Yeah, David, unmute and
There he is. Hey, how's it going?
Hi, can you guys hear me all right?
We can.
Yeah. All right, very good, very good. Okay, so as I was checking in with Dan just a moment ago, I was telling Dan that, so I've got my station up and running here. I'm gonna show you kind of in the background. I got the Go box up and running, 2 meter, 70 centimeter. It's Winlink capable as well. There's also FT897. I was gonna set up a 20 meter antenna as well. Got my Winlink station up. I've sent a check in. I've got my Linko 220 radio up, and there's an antenna up for it. Take you outside. Oh yeah, I've got the solar panels going, ready to charge batteries. Haven't set up the rear receiver. Can you see that all right, Chris?
We can.
Okay, so I got an antenna to put in here. I don't know what I did with it. It's around here somewhere. I did set up the one in the front. I'll walk you out a little bit from here. So that's a 2 meter, 70 centimeter J pole. And as Dan was talking about before, basically just slides right into the receiver hitch. The 220 antenna I have over here on a drive over, and a little push-up mast. And again, it's just a little PVC headphone antenna. The other antenna I'm getting ready to put up here would be a Comet to go into the other dual band.
David, David,
yeah,
if you can hear me, can you go back and show us and like hold on the spots a little bit longer as opposed to kind of quick walking around push so people can actually see the hitch mount a little bit? Yeah.
Okay. So here's the hitch mount, and it's just a simple, it's a 2-inch receiver, and you can purchase these guys on Amazon. It does go in the receiver just like any other mount.
Is this the one that has does this one have the hole that goes all the way through, or does it stop?
No, it has a hole, so you could pin it. You talk about that? Oh, you're talking about from the top here.
Yeah, from the top.
No, this one does stop. The one I purchased does have the lower ground. So you can put fiberglass military masts in here, or these flagpoles like I showed in the front, the flagpole masts. And again, I was able to find an aftermarket mount for my FJ. And so, sorry, I pulled a little too close to the bush here. But in the front, I have the similar setup where I have the receiver there. And again, this is your aluminum flagpole type mount. And it just sits in here and locks in and is ready to go.
So if you're searching for one on Amazon, you're just searching for a 2-inch receiver, hitch mounted flagpole. Is that correct? I lost your audio.
While we're waiting for David to reconnect, on the Harbor Freight flagpoles, they're very cost effective, but there's one gotcha about them, and that is that the twist locks on them, I've had trouble with them not coming unlocked. So what I do is I put some hose clamps on the mast, and I extend the mast and I tighten the hose clamp down to act as the stop, and I don't use the twist locks because I've had a couple of times where I had a really hard time getting the mast collapsed, which if you're on a deployment, you want to go home, is not fun.
All right. Do we have David back?
I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
We can.
Sorry, my wife drove away in our Ford and it connected to the phone.
Oh.
So now I'm sitting in front of the radios, and again, to turn this way, again, I've got the Go box that we showed previously here.
We have the over the shoulder shot. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, you got the over. Right. So I've got 897. There's a TYT 9800. This is the Yaesu 8900 clone. If I could get an Yaesu 8900, I'd have it here instead. But this is what I've got right now. Quad bander. I also deployed. I've got a Linko 220 radio that we use quite a bit here. I have that deployed as well. Other stuff I could put up. I've got some other antennas that I haven't put up, but depending on time, I may just kind of call this deployed for now. Solar panels here in the background. You can see behind me to charge batteries. I have an extra battery in the back of the truck. I was going to pull out and plug into that. I got my first aid backpack, and I've got my other backpack of my basic PPEs, snacks, water, change of clothes, so on and so forth.
And we're sending pizza over to you, so you're good.
I was waiting for that pizza to show up. You've got my address, so
yeah.
David, can you send an updated Winlink form into us? Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. Just give me a moment. Get the radio over there. Where do you want me to send? Anything specific?
Maybe send us just a 213.
Okay.
Or a spot rep.
Or a spot rep, actually, yeah. That'll be a good preview for next week. So next week we are going to spend a lot of time talking about mapping and all of the new mapping features within Winlink, and look at a little more depth of the spot rep reports.
All right, send in one right. I'm gonna give me a minute to fill it out.
Let me see if I can get you up on screen.
I'm not sure you're going to be able to see it.
Oh, that's okay. I also have the Winlink up on screen as well. But I should have download checked messages. We have a whole bunch of check-ins that have come in, which is
this is really nice. Do stay with us until Chris brings up the national map with all of your Winlink check-ins. That mapping feature is available for the form spot rep or spot report. And that asks several standard questions. Do you have power? Do you have running water? Are the TV stations and radio stations on? Et cetera, et cetera. Do you have phone service? So you begin to see the value of that if you're net control, that you can have 40 troops in the field and they're telling you exactly what their status is.
So one of the things that when we first started this, and we need to close a loop on one of these items real quick. One of the things that we started when David first pulled up is he sent a Winlink check-in, and let me unpin him real quick so you can see my screen a little bit better. There we are. And here is his Winlink check-in that he sent from his vehicle at the very beginning, just so that you can see that all of this is up and on screen. Here's the data that all came in, and there is that check-in form that he sent. And here's all the check-ins that are coming in from everyone else as well. But there's his W0 DHG that just came in.
And Chris, we're viewing Jason's picture now of his deployment.
Oh, excellent. All right, Jason, thank you very much. You want to go ahead and unmute while we're talking, if you want to talk about your deployment? That would help.
I'm here, but I've lost my view. I'm missing a button somewhere. All I have is like a small version of everything. Everything seems to be compressed, but I see people on the right. Am I missing a button somewhere?
We are seeing your slide. So we're seeing your slide. So go ahead and just walk through what your station looks like for us.
Okay. Let's see. I think, do you see this one of just a table?
I see 2 tables, a couple of chairs, some looks like laptops or
Yeah, see, I'm not sure which one I'm sharing, but if it's this one with the 2 tables, I was with Ed Vanderpool, and how do I go to another share photo to begin?
It looks like you're just in your shared photo screen. So
yeah, I see that now. I see the green outline. I'm just trying to go to another one to start because it's let me see. Yeah.
Oh, it looks like you only shared an app. Let me go ahead and stop your screen share for a second. And
thanks.
So my message is sent, guys, by the way.
Because my setup is a lot different than what David has, and I just want to, because I'm just starting my deployment, I just want to show you what I have in its simplicity.
Sure. So right now, everybody should be seeing my screen real quick. Here's that message that came in from DHG at the beginning. He sent it at 2109. That was his first message. If I go ahead and double click it, it'll bring up the message itself. So everybody's able to see the text that he did send before. If we want to look at the form, I can double click on the paperclip and it will open up the form back in the web browser so that it's a little bit easier to see. And he did post that he was on site. So that was the first message that he sent. Now, let me close that down. I'm going to open my Telnet session again and do a check. And there it looks like he is sending another message, and he is sending a spot rep report. So I'll download that checked message. There it comes in. And disconnected. So let me scroll up to the top. There he is. We'll double click on that message. And here he has sent a spot rep report, which we're going to go into in more detail next week. Let me clear off his other screen so it's a little bit easier to see this. There we are. So he's just sending some routine message. He's got it looks like everything is functioning at his location, and he is all good here from the front yard. Excellent. Point of contact W0DHG. We don't worry about typos and spellings in this, so good job, David. And he is up and running on that. Let me bring him back up on screen with his deployments. David, anything else that you wanted to show us about your deployment station there?
I mean, I think at this point, you get a good idea. We've got, as you can see from the wide view, we've got a workable station, we've got shade, we've got protection from the weather. I've got, my equipment here. I've got my PPEs. I've got my supplies, my snacks. I haven't, as I said before, I hadn't put up the HF equipment. It's here. I could have spent another 10 or 15 minutes doing that, but I wanted to, move the program on a little bit. There's other stuff in the back of the vehicle. Just to quick show you, when you think about longer term deployments, I got a whole bunch more equipment back here. I got a sleeping bag, blanket, got another table, and then all the other supplies that I keep in my truck on a regular basis. There's a shovel, an axe, first aid supplies, and I didn't bring out my forgot to bring out my field guide, my Aries manual, and my my logging stuff.
We have a question that's come into the chat. What do you use for lighting at night?
So I have somewhere around here, I have a little lantern. What I didn't string up was in the easy ups, we use this LED rope light. And what I do is I string it up on there. It's all 12 volts. And that lights this up. Actually, I've had to get dimmers for them because they're so bright. One LED light strip, it's actually kind of too bright. So I have those as well.
Nice.
There is a question, Chris, in the chat that I just like all of us to address because it's an excellent question. It is from Tanya, K04PFC. And it is, in an emergency net like an earthquake, do we have a designated network control station person? Is there always a designated leader? I gave her my answer, no. The first person on the net however you construct it, is generally going to be net control for a period of time until others arrive. You would hate to have a situation where you've got 20 people with spot rep-like information. Did you feel it? Didn't you feel it? What did you feel? Are you okay? You'd hate for them to sit there waiting for somebody who can't be there for 30 minutes to run the net. So
David, I can illustrate that with a real life situation. We have an area in Los Angeles called the Sepulveda Pass, relatively wealthy area. And the folks up in that area, it's brushy, fire prone, limited access in and out. And the folks in that area started a weekly net in order to communicate during an emergency. Well, a couple of years ago, year and a half ago, they had a fire, and it was a very fast moving fire. I woke up to the news saying that there's a fire called the Skirball fire. I immediately recognized that and went to the frequency that they'd been doing nets for a year on, and crickets. And I couldn't believe this was exactly what the net was started for. So I threw out my call sign, and all of a sudden everybody started coming back to me. And exactly as David suggested, they were waiting for somebody to take control. So I started the net, I did net control. And for the next 8 hours, I and several other ACS members ran a net. We were able to provide them with evacuation information, road closures. We were able to dispel some rumors that were incorrect. And because I was out of the affected area, I was able to go to the emergency management department website and get the latest information. And but they were just waiting, and believe me, that won't happen again. They learned that the first person there is net control, and eventually, if you're uncomfortable, somebody will relieve you, but get the net going. That's the important thing.
It's why we recommend practicing being net control. I don't care where you are and what your served agency is. To be able to do that is a really important function of emergency communications and amateur radio. There's another thing also, and in Aries LAX Northeast, we've begun to experiment with this, and hopefully we'll do it more. Passing net control function from one operator to another is a really valuable exercise. In fact, that might be an hour exercise all by itself, in which we maybe have 15, 20 participants. We'll just pass net control duties from one person to another just to practice doing that.
Sure, that's a great suggestion. I know
I posted in chat a link to the Camco hitch mount flagpole holder, which I believe is what David has. They're on sale. Normally $22, $12.43. And I will tell you, I paid a lot more than that to the welder who welded mine. So just make sure that the diameter matches whatever you're using for a mast, but quite a good deal on Amazon.
This is the link. This is, obviously not an endorsement or anything. This is just the link up on Amazon that Dan was referring to. He put it down in the chat for anybody who's on the live stream that's watching this. So DHG, I see you are in your vehicle now. What's going on?
Well, my iPhone's starting to run low on juice, so I'm plugged in. So I wanted to keep joining the conversation. I didn't want to get kicked out, and yeah, I think this has been a lot of fun. The reality is, it's like, you can only put so much in here. All the equipment that you saw today is, staged at my QTH. I don't drive around with the whole setup all the time, but I have a limited amount of equipment in my vehicle. I could be, self-sufficient with, the radios that are built into my truck and the laptop that I carry with me all the time for a couple of hours. But the stuff that you see here is all staged kind of at the front of the garage that I can get to whether I have electrical power or not. Pull it out, load it up, and then deploy as needed. And the thing about doing these kinds of exercises is, practice makes perfect. You'll remember the things as you get set up that you've forgotten. That you don't think that hey, you had this or you had that, or oh, now I need to add this or now I need to add that. It's part of the reason why we drill, we practice, we deploy constantly, so that we know, hey, I always make a list. I always start off, the first thing I do on the log paper is a little box in the corner of stuff I forgot. So.
And we're probably all pretty rusty at this. I know we did a public outreach event last month called the American Heroes Air Show. We've done it for years. It's a very fun event. But I'll tell you, when I went to start to pull my equipment together for that show, whereas it used to be pretty much automatic for me, it was a process, and stuff was dirty. I needed to clean it off, and because it's been 2 years since we've done anything. So
yeah, I think the exercise that. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, are you able to go out? Their question came in the chat. Does anyone use a drive-on mast mount? I know you deployed that. So are you able to go back?
Yeah, I'm good. So here's my setup. This is a store bought. Can you see that all right, Chris?
We can, yeah.
It's it's an aluminum plate with a screw-in tube. This won't do the larger 2-inch receiver that I have. It's a slightly smaller mast. You can get these with a bigger pipe on them, and this one screws in and out. I could probably find the right thread to upsize it, but this is sturdy. For all of these antennas that I have up 20-25 feet in the air, I don't ever guy these. These are solid enough that I don't worry about it. If I put a dipole up, and I will put a dipole up on the rear for 20 or 40 meters, then that's kind of guides itself. But these are standard and sturdy. There is one more thing in the back that I didn't pull out and I didn't show you. I have my kit of I don't know if you can see that okay. This is Army surplus military mast tripod. This will go up 35 feet. And it'll hold a pretty good sized load. Hold on one second. I got Amazon coming in. Hi there. Good. How are you doing?
You can't plan this stuff, You
really can't. I went ahead and muted him. So a comment came in. I use a spider beam fiberglass push-up mast on a tripod with sandbags. I actually do a similar thing. I have a 12-meter spider beam mast that I'll attach my roll-up N9 TAX antenna to. I'll push that up and get that up in the air. I also have, I do a lot of filming of other equipment. So I have C-stands for setting up lights. And a lot of times I will take, for a quick deployment, I'll attach a Diamond X300 using some big hose clamps and attach that onto the top section of a C-stand, and then be able to push that up, because the whole thing is pretty self-contained. I also have a buddy pole system, so I'll use the buddy pole mast, and if you take the top adapter off, just using a small little Allen head or Allen screws, you can take the top head of that off, and then you can attach a something like the X300, the X50 to that mast, and then you've got a pretty solid platform that's freestanding to be able to put something up. So those are some of the things that I do. Now, one thing that yesterday was the anniversary of me getting my technician license just a couple of years ago, back in 2018, right after the Thomas fire rolled through here. And as these guys set up they've got a lot of equipment that they've been setting up. And over the years, I'm still kind of building up my setup. So oftentimes when we've been deploying previously to some of our different exercises, I would show up and I would then help. somebody who's got a setup such as W0DHG's David's setup that he's got there, he would oftentimes deploy quickly. He would start putting up the shelter, the tables, and so forth. KK60A may roll up with another case, and we would just continue to build out the overall deployment system that was there. As I've continued to gain more experience and gain more equipment, I bring more stuff with me as well. So everybody just kind of goes along with what they have. Let's see, other questions or comments that we have in the chat.
I don't know if you can see me, Chris.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So here's I don't know if I'm live or you can see me in the background. This is the LED strip light stuff. 20 feet. It's super bright. Actually, I have this. Actually, this spool is red. I have red and white, and usually when I deploy them, I'll deploy both red and white, and then we can switch over as the night goes on, and people want to have night vision going. So lots of possibilities there.
Very cool. All right. So that is actually bringing us to the top of the hour. So before we kind of move on to anything else, what I want to do is I want to show the map of where folks are. So let me switch myself over to my computer. I'm gonna go down into the corner a little bit here. I'm gonna do one more check. So if you haven't sent in your Winlink check-in, make sure you send that in. I'll put one more time down in the chat. Send it to all four of us. Let me see if I've got, do I still have my thing pasted? I do. Look at that. There's all four of us: KK60A, W0DHG, NR6V, and W6AH. If you can send in your Winlink check-in, I'm going to go ahead and do a quick final check here for the session. I'll open my session on Telnet one more time. See if any more have come in. Up, looks like there is one coming. Oh, there's a spot rep coming in. Excellent. AG7TX. Very nice. And so that came in. I'll do one more quick check. There we go. Start. In case anyone else still got in. Looks like that's all the messages. And then let's have a look to see where folks are. This is an absolutely incredible new feature of Winlink here. So if you've updated to the latest version of Winlink, you now have a little button here that looks like a little globe right here on your toolbar, and you can click on that, or you can go up to the message window and message menu and go down to generate maps and CS files for forms. And this is if you are receiving the email. So because all four of us have received all of these, any of the four of us would be able to do.
Hey, Chris, can you go full screen?
Oh yeah. Sorry. Good call. Let me unpin everyone else here. Remove from spotlight so it's easier to see, because I'm sure I always forget about this. One of the joys of Zoom is
There we go.
There we go. Full screen. Okay. So the little globe icon is right here in the toolbar. It's still pretty small, but it's right there. And the place to go in messages is up here under the message menu. Go down to generate maps and CSV files for forms. So if you are, say, the net control operator, or if you're the person designated within your group to be receiving the forms, another thing that you can often use to use this feature is to make sure that you have you can use tactical call signs, and you can receive those in a tactical call. I'm seeing a couple of people note that I'm still not full screen. If I'm not full screen for you, go up to in Zoom, go up to the upper right, click on your view, and make sure you are set to the speaker view instead of the gallery view. So that way you can see the screen bigger. So with that, let me click on the little globe. And it brings up this little pop-up window here, and any of the forms that you've received that have this new feature, the new mapping feature added in, that you've received a form for that will show up here in your dropdown. So we are using the Winlink check-in. Because I do see some express check-ins, that means there are probably a few of you who may have sent that in, but you're not running the latest version of Winlink. So make sure you're running the latest version of Winlink, because they did make a change in the forms. But we're going to select the Winlink check-ins.
And make sure make sure when you get that request to do your upgrade, both of the software and the forms, to take those when you're connected to the internet.
Yeah. So we've gotten 84 of these in. You can choose your map provider. So there's a big long list of all of these. I'm just going to use the standard Google map here. I'll go leave that set. And I'm going to say display map. And if the demo gods are with us, there we have a map that is showing us. I'm going to bring this out to full screen also. Whoops, that's closing it. You got to click on the right button there. There we go. And you can use your right mouse button to click and drag. We'll just kind of drag around the globe. It looks like we do see everybody. I'll go ahead and zoom in just a little bit, drag this map over, and you can see all of the pins that are in the location of, move myself out of the way just a little bit. There we go. Where everyone is located. So if you move your mouse over these, you can see a little pop-up that shows the information that was submitted. And then if you click on that, it'll actually bring that message information up inside of the window, right, in a little pop-up window, so you can get access to all of that. Now, one thing that you do want to check with this form, or with this new feature, if you've received a bunch of these forms, is you want to make sure you have the right time frame, so you're only looking at the data that you think you're looking at. Up here in the upper left of the window, you can see there's a little thing that says set filters. I can click on that. It's going to bring up this series of filters. And initially, the display reports no more than hours old is usually set to 999 hours. And that would show all of those check-ins that I have in my inbox. But I've changed mine down to 3 hours to just show the most recent 3 hours of these forms. And there are some other selectors down here in the filter if you would like to see those. You can do that. I'll hit save. And so there we are. These are all of the folks who have just checked in today. You can see we have a fairly good contingent here in the Los Angeles area from the Ventura team and from the LAX teams. We've got some cluster up here in Northern California, Washington State, Idaho, Utah, Iowa, Minnesota, looks like Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Texas, and Pennsylvania. So that's pretty cool. Oh, Hawaii.
That is so cool.
Everybody over here. Yeah. Our folks over here in Hawaii.
I am dying to hear from you guys about the tsunami when we get to the after party section. Chris, Tanya has another good question. Tanya, you get a gold star for having the best questions. You've answered her question, but she asked, how does the map know not to show last week's check-ins? Because those are in your inbox too. Well, that's where you use the filter, show the filter again, and you're asking it to show only the check-ins that are 3 hours old. So that's how we delete last week's. Don't do that, because that will show every single window.
It should show, it may have added a few more pins that, it did. It added a few more pins that have shown up in here. So that's 999 hours. So if I go back and change the filter, I'll change it back down to 3 hours. And save that. And look, we lost some of those pins right here in the middle of the country from previously.
Now, you saw a little bit earlier. Let's explain what that was about. You saw Winlink check-in and Express check-in. Well, folks, they changed the name of it because we want the Winlink check-in form to be called Winlink check-in. But Express check-in in previous versions of Winlink Express still exists, and the program recognizes it. It has been deprecated. That name has been deprecated. They don't use that anymore. So please update your Winlink Express if you don't have it to the latest version, which is 1.5.44.1, or if you're experimenting with beta versions, 0.2.
So as I've zoomed in, just using the zoom in feature here on the map, there's another little interesting piece of data to talk about here, and that's the pin color. So right here, you can see there's one pin that is green, and that is me. That's my location. That's where I'm at. It'll put a pin in there for where your location is set, and it sets the color to green. Everyone else's pin shows up in this kind of blue purpley color. If we hover over this one, there is W0DHG, and we can see his check-in. Now that is his check-in from his Winlink check-in that he sent in. That's just the Winlink form. If I go, if I close this map and I change the drop down here to say, okay, show me the spot reps. Notice I've got 28 spot rep reports here. I will display that on the map, but only a couple. Let me zoom out because I know someone else did send a spot rep in. Let's see where that is. Oh, there they are. They're up here. That would be AG7TX sent in a spot rep. Excellent. Thank you very much for doing that. And he's recent in what he just sent in. But let me zoom back in. And if the demo gods are with me, this should be W0DHG spot rep that he just sent from his front yard. And all of that information has in. So there we are.
And the spot rep form we'll see next week when we dive into the filters a little bit more. But that's a remarkable form. We've talked to the folks at the emergency management department here in the city of Los Angeles, and they've told us that in the first 24 hours after a big event like an earthquake, they're primarily receiving information and building a plan. And their biggest problem is getting information from a broad area of the city. Well, ham radio operators are a perfect solution to that because we're spread out throughout the city. So by submitting a spot rep form, we can give them that information they need. And if I'm sitting down at the Auxiliary Communications Service radio room at our EOC, and the DWP guy taps me on the shoulder and says, show me where the power is out, I can use that filter feature to display power outages in red. So all the stations that reported that the power was out would immediately show up in the map in red, and they could build a picture of what's going on. An incredibly useful feature, and I think one that applies to virtually all served agencies in one way or another.
While I have, I've got this map, I changed over to the express check-in form. So if you're seeing a pin in your location, that is an indicator that you're not running the current version of Winlink or you're not running the current version of the form. So go ahead and make sure you run the update for your Winlink so that you have the latest version of the forms and you're using those. When you're using Winlink, you can't really tell because the form really does look the same. So if I close this and I go close this all the way and click on a new message, select template, standard templates, go down to general forms, it would still say Winlink check-in. So it's still the correct thing. Yeah, go ahead.
So it listed there on the list, Chris, the reason, and I was very instrumental in getting this changed, was we would always look at this form and it says Winlink check-in. When you open it, the way you can tell is if you open that form, on the top of the form, you'll see it says Winlink check-in now. It used to say express check-in, and that's why they called it the express check-in form. So if you open that Winlink check-in from the menu and you see express check-in here, you know you have the old form.
There you go.
And that was confusing. So they changed, they made it consistent with everything. And thank you to the developers of Winlink for doing that. It's a small but significant thing.
Bert is asking where the spot rep form is. That's under shares forms, under general forms. Maybe Chris, you can show
Yeah. 1 second. Let me get over there. Select template. You go to standard templates, click the little pop-up. You come down here to shares. And it's right there, shares spotrep2.txt.
And even
this would make a great exercise for whatever your served agency is. In fact, ACS here in LA is thinking about taking these little dongles, these GPS dongles, stick it on top of your car and go around the city to do different spot reps from different locations and sending them in via Winlink.
So even though it's a shares form, there's no restriction on everybody else using it.
Yeah, we are going to we're going to go into this stuff in a lot more detail next week. This is basically what a preview of next week's show is what we're going to do. Someone asked, can you email out of area contact? Can you email to an out of area contact? Yes, you absolutely can email to an out of area contact with this. With the spot rep. Yeah. So you will be able to, next week, we'll have everybody send in a spot rep report. And we'll ask you in different parts of the country to fill out different information. So we can really use the filters, and we can really kind of, you can see live on the screen what things are where. So we're going to really play with the spot reps and the mapping features next week. And we'll share a list of folks that everybody can really play.
Hey, Chris, can I make a suggestion? So the last question he answered, which was, can you email your out of area contact? And I absolutely positively think you should, and during good times, because and I'll assume when you're saying that, you're saying somebody who's not a ham, and there's two reasons you want to do that. One is you want to have them be aware of the email address that you're sending it from, which is your call sign at winlink.net. It also, when you send it out from your Winlink account, it adds them to your white or allow list, so that they're added to, so that in an event of an emergency, they can actually reach out and send an email to your Winlink account, checking to see if you're okay. And if you're going to do that, just send it as a regular email, like Chris is showing on the screen. If you send them the forms, what they're going to get is a JSON or a data type table. It's not going to be as easily readable or friendly. Just send them the regular email, and it is a good idea to do that.
Yeah, this is what the data that comes in from a form. I know this is really hard to see. I'm not going to shrink back down for everybody, unfortunately, just because I want to keep everybody on screen. But this is what the data looks like. If you want to see what these look like without having the web view of the form, the first time you open any of the forms that have that are tied to a form, if I double click on this one, see how it opens up my browser, it displays in a nice readable format. If I close that message and I open that same message again, just double click it, the next time it'll only open the text version of that message. It won't necessarily open it in the browser. So this is what somebody who doesn't have Winlink would see if you sent them, say, a spot rep report or one of the other forms. The information is all still readable. It just doesn't know, the email program may not know what to do with it. So it would just display it like this. If you would like to get back to the form view, just come over here on the left-hand side and just double click that little paper clip. And if the demo gods are with you, it'll open the email in the front, and then it will open the browser with that displayed in the back. So you're able to get to it again.
Yeah. So remember, one of the beauties of forms in Winlink is that you aren't sending the form. You're only sending the data to fill the form in. So it's a much smaller file that you're having to send, but that assumes that the party you're sending it to has the forms resident on their computer so that it can be reconstituted on their end. So somebody who's not a Winlink user would not have that.
So there we go. We got a few more people just brought theirs in. So let me go ahead and close that. And I'm just going to go right back to the map. I'll make sure that I have the Winlink check-in. Now we've got 90 people who have checked in. That's pretty cool. 90 people. We have 64 who are here inside of the Zoom. And that means we've got a bunch of people that are watching on the live stream as well. We'll display that on the map. Let me blow that map out to full screen and zoom out just a little bit. See if we got anybody up. We have, wow, we have a couple of folks joining us from.
I think
this is
longitude and latitude.
Longitude and latitude, it matters. So
you are not there, person.
In North America, our longitude is negative as opposed to positive. So something to be able to check there. And this one also, yeah, so 2 from Nevada that have come in that really should be pinned over here, but that's okay. Super cool. So super helpful feature that's here inside. And you just use the zoom in and zoom out. I'm right click and drag in order to pan the map around. So there we are. That is the kind of quick rundown of deploying a station as just an example. Now, is this the only way to deploy a station? Heck no. There's as many people as there's that many different types of stations to be able to deploy. You just deploy the type of equipment that's appropriate for your setup and your needs for the situation that you find yourself in.
We want to give a hand to DHG for
yes,
doing all that work.
It was amazing.
And pizza maybe is on its way, maybe.
It definitely.
And as I said last week, do something. Don't let perfect get in the way of doing something. So whether it's a backpack that you throw a radio and a roll-up antenna and a battery into, or something more sophisticated like David has, it's most important that you do something, because the big one might hit tomorrow.
Yeah, and I'll tell everybody, this was a great exercise for me. We're getting ready in our area to go out and hopefully support the 2022 Baker to Vegas run. And I'm the station captain for Station 9. So most of what you saw out here today is equipment that I'll deploy in the field for that particular event. So it gives me an opportunity to haul it out of the garage after mostly sitting idle for 2 years and shaking it off. And I did learn a couple lessons. There's a couple pieces that aren't working as I wanted them to, and so now I got some time to play with it. So I'd strongly recommend everybody, whether it's your front yard, your backyard, the garage, living room floor, get your stuff out, put it together, and see what you can do with it. You might be surprised. You might learn some things, and you might just be excited to know, hey, it all worked perfect.
Right. I will.
But it won't. You're right. It won't.
I'll take a brief opportunity here. Yes, practice for Winter Field Day, and Kathy, you win the prize of guessing exactly why we went through last week and this week is because it's practice for setting up a Winter Field Day station coming up here very soon. So the prize is you get called out, but yay, you figured out exactly why we chose these particular setups. I'll take the opportunity real quick to do a quick plug for WaveTalkers and talk very briefly about a couple of the new features that we just added to the site. If you come onto WaveTalkers, you go to the far upper right, there's a new live link. And if you click on that, we have all of the previous episodes. We show the upcoming episode. There's a link to the calendar that we just added, so you're able to subscribe to our calendar that has all of our upcoming events that we're doing. There's a join us link that takes us to a new form. Everybody, hopefully, I'm guessing folks have been getting the emails that have been going out about once a week. If you are not on the email list and you would like to be, go ahead and follow the join us link here and fill out a really simple form, and make sure you check the Zoom audience invites if you want to join us in the Zoom session to be able to hang out in the after party. Some folks are saying full screen. Let me go ahead and unpin folks. Yes. Gotta keep me honest here with making sure that I'm keeping everybody just so that you can see what is going on.
And Chris, while you're talking about the calendar, you have an important thing Thursday night, don't you?
Oh, I do. Yes. Let me I'll go back up here. Actually, let me go back. I'll go to the calendar listing. That brings up a full view. This Thursday night, the 6 p.m. Pacific, is the Rat Pack talk for solar and battery power. That is going to be done by myself. So if you're familiar with the Rat Pack, I will be doing that talk. It's a talk that I've given a couple of places here, and we'll start putting some material up on WaveTalkers for you to be able to see information about that. Next Sunday's WaveTalkers Live, we're going to be diving deeply into spot rep and mapping. We're going to get in and really play with that to allow folks to have some opportunity to get in there with that. Let me go back over to the live page real quick while I'm here. You can see we have all the previous episodes of our WaveTalkers Live that we've been doing. And then we also, as we're working with different groups, so I'm a member of the Ventura ACS Aries group, as well as the LAX group, and all of my colleagues are members of the LAX groups in various different districts. And so as we do different events, if WaveTalkers is hosting it and we do a recording, we'll post some of the meetings up here. So this was an excellent, if you want to get a preview of what we're going to be going through in more detail next week. This is a talk that was done within the Ventura Aries group this past week. That one of the operators went through and went into more detail about the mapping feature as well. So that's already up there on WaveTalkers. If you'd like to go in and see that, that's there. A quick just note, you can also get to all the episodes, and there's the join us link, all that fun stuff. Under the resources section on WaveTalkers, you can get to this from anywhere. There is the APRS talk that we did and the Winlink talk. And yes, all of the little short videos are all here. So if you need some help on, say, setting up your account in Winlink, we've got short videos for those that have been posted up there as well. For all of our folks who have been supporting us on WaveTalkers, I'll scroll right past the live part because that's a few seconds in the past. We do have a new supporter section right on the front page. And you can see all of these absolutely amazing folks who have been supporting us on WaveTalkers to help us do what we're doing, and all of the feedback that we have on all the pages on WaveTalkers. That's not one of the meetings that we're hosting. We do have either the Buy Me a Coffee link here if you go onto the main page, or actually I gotta have the right mouse up here. Got to go on the main page. Many places you'll find the little banner, and then there's a little coffee cup down here in the corner that you're able to send us in some helps, and it really does all help. So with that, let me bring all my colleagues back up on screen with me at this point so we can all say thanks for everyone. And I'm going to do it in the right order so everybody looks like they're looking at each other.
David, we did give you a round of applause for your hard work out there in your driveway.
I heard. Thank you much for the recognition.
Yep.
Excellent. So let's see. One more quick look in the chat. Is using Winlink via APRS a practical exercise? For the APRS, we use it as a component to our Winlink exercises, not as a replacement, although there is a way to use APRS to send messages and to also send text messages, not just to amateur radio operators, but also you can send them out to an actual presentation, actual phone, and you can send email messages as well through APRS. And we go into a little bit of that in the APRS talk, but it's not necessarily a replacement. And any other questions? Great job. Thank you very much. Excellent. Let's switch back over to here and transmogrify myself back up. So that's what we have. Thank you again, W0DHG, for your setting up there. Now that you're all good and sweaty, we'll have to send you a pizza and maybe a bottle of wine.
You guys are all coming to help me clean up, right?
No.
Setting up is a breeze. It's the tear down.
It's the tear down.
And you know, that's another serious exercise that you could try sometime, because in the world of emergency setup, you got to be able sometimes, when the fire captain says, get the heck out of here in 10 minutes, you got to pack it all up and go, because that fire is coming over the ridge.
Yeah.
Right. And David, from your ICS 300, 400s, when do you start planning your breakdown?
The moment the incident begins.
That's right. As soon as you start setting up, you start thinking about, how do you take this down?
You always got to think about the out.
Yep.
That is the first thing that you're thinking when you're kind of rolling that stuff up together.
And how do you fit it all back in the car?
Yes.
It's amazing how much bigger it is going back in than it was coming out.
Isn't that true?
It's
funny you say that, because usually for me it's the other way around, but usually I'm responsible for feeding everybody too, so all the food disappears. But yeah, I can see how it seems like it gets bigger.
I see Eric has a question in the chat. What type of HF antenna do you all use for deployment? We can do a quick little a round for that. I think we are going to do an entire episode just on HF antennas for EmComm deployment. For me, I use a variety depending on the speed that I need to deploy with. So for a quick deployment, if I'm doing NVIS, I'll oftentimes put up either one of the Chameleon F-Loop 3.0 or the Tactical Delta Loop, both of which go up in about 5 minutes. If I need to do some longer, and they also work for kind of mid to long range as well. If I'm needing to do a little bit longer range communications, I'll set up the Buddy Stick Pro. That works extremely well. That also takes about 5 to 10 minutes if I'm setting up to operate on a specific band. And then when I go through to set up for a longer term deployment, and I've got the room to do it, I'm setting up the Buddy Hex, which allows me to operate on 6 through 20 meters, fully resonant across all of those bands. And that is my antenna configuration that I use for HF antennas. KK68, what do you use for HF?
Well, Chris, I have a couple of those. The Chameleon Delta Loop is really excellent. I have, with 10 watts, used that antenna in a park with trees all around, hit HF gateways in Oregon, Las Vegas, and Tijuana. And that's with 10 watts on HF. For VHF, here is the Ed9 TAX VHF Slim Jim. You know what these guys do, but that's a very, very good antenna. Here's the Ed Fong equivalent. Here's another of the TAXs. This is UHF and VHF, and that all fits nicely in one little baggie. Get them as high as you can.
I think all of us are running those as well. Somebody asked about what is that 6 to 20 meter antenna I mentioned. That is the new Buddy Hex. I have been fortunate enough to be one of the beta testers for that. It is
you lucky guy.
Incredible. It's an incredible antenna. They've got just a little bit of information up on the Buddy Pole website about it. They are not commercially available yet, although very soon, I understand. And they're incredible. It's a portable hex beam. It weighs 10 pounds. It sets up. The fastest I've set it up is about 17 minutes. We will do an episode on that, and I've got a bunch of video footage of that antenna and what it's capable of. Dan, what do you use for HF for portable?
I have not done a lot of portable HF. I do have a G5 RV. I have some ham sticks that I've played with, but I really have not set out to really figure out what I like best.
Excellent. Somebody else mentioned they use a Wolf River coil for their deployments. They can set it up in about 5 minutes or less and operate 86 meters. I also have a Wolf River coil now. I really like that antenna as well. I find that those work much better if you can get them up a little bit higher off the ground, which is why I've moved over to use the Buddy Stick Pro because of that integrated tripod that it has, that integrated legs. And if you take the long nut off the bottom of the Wolf River coil, it will adapt onto the Buddy Stick equipment as well, and the Buddy Pole stuff. David, W0DHG, what do you use for your portable HF antenna?
So I've got a couple as well. Again, some of it depends on how long, right, you're going to be out there. I have for quick deployment, I have a Yaesu ATAS 25. That's great because you can set it up on a little tripod, like right on the ground. And we mostly use that for field day, but we've been able to use that at field days, and we were making DX. I mean, we were actually from the hills around Los Angeles, talked to Australia, New Zealand, and really made some good distance. Otherwise, for the most part, it would be dipoles. They're tuned, they're ready to go. I don't have to think about it. Yes, I need a little more space. But because I know that they're working and I test them out pretty regularly, it's really just get them up, get them spread out, Mostly we use them NVIS 80 meters, 40 meters, but they're reliable. Again, not so quick to put away, but it's just 80, 120 feet of wire. If I've got to let it go, I got to let it go, depending on the situation.
Excellent.
And someday soon, I hope to have a Buddy Hex as well. Someday soon.
So I want to say a quick thank you out to W0ZZK. Thanks for the coffee. We really appreciate that. That just came in. So thank you.
Chris, did we ever get to see all Jason's stuff? If we did, I missed it.
I don't think we did get back to Jason. I see he's still in here.
We can do that next time.
Okay, we can do that. We can chat about it in the after party also. So with that, I do want to wrap up because we've gone. You've now wasted another good hour and a half with us, and as they like to say. So we'll say goodbye on the live stream. We're going to go ahead and close the live stream. If you're inside of the Zoom session, you're more than welcome to hang around. We'll open up the mics and have a Q&A session. Again, folks, if you want to join us in the Zoom session, go and fill out the Join Us form on the WaveTalkers site so you can join us as well inside of here. We can have a party of about 275 people here inside of the Zoom. So we're looking forward to doing that. And we are looking at having another one of the starting up the Winlink class as well. But with that, I am W6AH, my esteemed colleagues KK6DA, NR6V, and the most amazing W0DHG who did that crazy cool setup. We can see he's actively working on taking down his if I can get him to come up in the background here. He's pulling down his setup in the background there. Oh, there he is.
I can hear you guys. I'm here. I'm here. So yeah, I'm listening, but I'm on mute because you don't want to hear me huffing and puffing. But I'm still playing the home game, as it were.
Oh, okay.
Thanks to his daughter too for helping out. His kids are great.
Big thanks to his daughter. So, okay, let me go ahead and end off the live streams here, and then we'll get on with the after party. So, thanks a lot, all of those who joined us on YouTube.